Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door updates the beloved GameCube classic to give it a chance at being a superstar in 2024. The GameCube really was Nintendo at its best. Rather than rely on safe system sellers when faced with fierce competition from the PS2 and Xbox, Nintendo got weird with it. We had the likes of Super Mario Sunshine, Zelda: The Wind Waker, and Metroid Prime, all of which took radically different directions from their predecessors, adding a water gun, changing to a cartoony style, or becoming an FPS, respectively. To this day, a number of the GameCube's games are still highly regarded within their respective series, and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is no different. Launching back in 2004 on the GameCube, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door was the sequel to the Nintendo 64's Paper Mario, and set a new bar for the series of turn-based RPGs. Nintendo seems to be aware that The Thousand-Year Door is a fan favourite, making the title the first of the series to get the remake treatment, and giving those of us who missed out the first time a chance to see just how brilliant it is, with a lovely visual overhaul to bring it in line with the more recent entries in the series, alongside a fantastic rearranged soundtrack. Shockingly, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door kicks off with Princess Peach being kidnapped, but this time around it's not by Bowser, and we're not in the Mushroom Kingdom either. Instead, Paper Mario takes us to Rogueport, which lives up to its name by being a total dump and a wretched hive of scum and villainy. You'll encounter a guild of thieves, a crime family composed of Super Mario Sunshine's Piantas, and the worst batch of Power Rangers knockoffs you've seen in the form of the game's main antagonists, the X-Nauts. But despite its rough exterior, Rogueport is also home to some of the most lovable and interesting characters in the series, which ties into what makes the Thousand-Year Door so special: the writing. Chances are you don't come to a Mario game for the storyline and character work, but even in my Paper Mario: The Thousand Door preview, I was caught off guard by just how impressive those aspects were. And now I've rolled credits on the full product, I can confirm that it wasn't just a particularly engrossing slice that I was treated to. The top tier writing saturates the entire game. The main storyline is a bit predictable, of course, but the individual interactions and the various lands Mario and his crew end up in all feel fully realised, and leave a lasting impression thanks to thoughtful world building that comes through in the unique art design and cast of NPCs that you can chat to across the 8 levels, as well as the fantastic sense of humour that spans all the way from the tongue-in-cheek and whimsical to the satirical and dark. One standout detail I loved in regard to the level design is how the battle theme changes based on which locale you're in, giving extra personality to every environment. Mario's crew are the highlight of the game though. Throughout the adventure, you'll run into a number of different characters who all join Mario's party on the quest to find the 7 crystal stars, each of them having their own reasons for joining up. There's Koops, who aspires to show his bravery to live up to his dad's heroic reputation, Goombella, the budding researcher looking to uncover the secrets of the island, and Madame Flurry, who seeks to take the stage once again after years out of the spotlight. I was particularly enamoured by 2 of Mario's companions, Vivian and Admiral Bobbery, partially because of the Admiral's absurd and rad as hell character design, but their personal storylines had me even more invested than the main quest itself. I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is home to the best writing in the series that I've ever experienced, and probably the funniest too. It's not afraid to get melancholy, stray into some dark areas, or even throw in some raunchy jokes, by Mario standards, in order to lighten the mood. Watching the narrative unfold was the main force driving me through the adventure, and while I love me some Mario, like I said, it's not usually the plot that has me coming back for more. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is a turn-based RPG, but avoids some of that genre's worst traits to make for a solid experience. There are no random encounters, each attack has a real-time element, such as timed button presses or inputting combinations correctly, and some enemies will require tactical thinking to defeat, like spiked enemies who will need to be knocked on their back before you can jump on them. These elements keep the battles fresh, but it's slightly undercut by how easy the game is overall for the most part. There are optional challenges you can take that do bump the difficulty up, like the Pit of 100 Trials, but at its core, it's an RPG meant for newcomers to the genre. For the majority of the adventure's chapters, the format is head to a specific area, meet the characters, battle through a dungeon, and then nab the crystal star after beating a boss. However, where things really shine is when the game subverts this structure for specific segments. One chapter in particular plays out on a locomotive where there's minimal fighting, and instead you're tasked with carrying out detective work in order to figure out who's threatening to destroy the train. It comes in at the perfect moment towards the final third of the game to give you a break from the typical formula ahead of the incoming finale, and was the absolute highlight for me. Despite the game taking steps to take the tedium out of the genre, there was one thing that really bugged me. Paper Mario will very often take control away from the player to show off an animation, and while these are fun to look at, it becomes tiresome simply because you can't skip or speed your way through them. One incredibly annoying example of this is the chapter that sees Mario entering a wrestling league to become the world champion, while completing specific tasks during matches. The concept for this section had me buzzing to take it on in the beginning, but sadly, it ended up being the worst offender when it comes to unskippable animations. In this chapter, you have to do about 20 fights in succession, and while there are plot beats in the middle, for the most part you'll be going up the terminal, selecting a fight, and waiting for the guard to escort you to the ring where you can do battle. And frankly, it became tiresome fast. The same goes for the post-fight screen, which shows how much XP you've earned. This animation is cute and all, but you can't skip it or speed it up, and when you're doing a ton of fights in quick succession, it becomes a bit irksome to wait for it to play out every time. That being said, when my biggest issue with a game is some thumb twiddling, it speaks to how good it is overall. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is an excellent RPG filled with wonder and surprises, and backed up by phenomenal writing that had me emotionally attached to a sentient bomb with a mustache, and laughing at its silly humour constantly. It's a must-play for Mario fans, and a solid RPG to introduce players into the genre. So there you have it in terms of our official Mirror Gaming verdict for Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Do you plan on picking it up? Maybe you played the original GameCube version and want to know what's different, or maybe you're coming to it for the very first time. Either way, be sure to let us know in the comment section below. And then, when you've done that, be sure to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel to stay up to date with even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.